Hello and glad to have you back. So in our last lesson, we created our project setup. In this lesson, what we'll do is to start working on the character's facial features. To do that, I'll go over to the ellipse tool or hit M as the shortcut key. And once I start dragging the ellipse, you can see it's coming with a fill, which is the last fill we used. And I don't want that. So what I'll do is to hit the slash key, or we could just go to fill up here and hit this red diagonal slash, which means we don't want this fill. For the stroke, this 100% black is totally fine. I'll just drag it to the tip, or if you want to see a much more precise version, you can hit the slider, and let's go to the boxes. Sorry, not the boxes, the sliders actually, and you can just use this to do that, but it's actually going to be bringing our fill back. We don't want that. We just want this for the stroke, and you can see I can set S to that value. So for the fill, we can go again and just get rid of that fill, but for the stroke, you can actually see that value for the stroke. Again, I'm going to set the point to about 2 points, and I think 2 points is fine. And what I'm going to do is not break away from consistency. So I'm going to use 2 points for mostly the entire character, and I'll try to stick to that. So now that we have this shape, you can see if we try to adjust this to just fit the character's face, whoops, I'll just undo that and hit V to move. So we can move this around, we can scale it, right? We can drag each edge to scale this shape, we can drag this side to scale it, we can even scale it up to this sketch section of the skull, like that, but we actually want to have more precision here. So to do that, we need to use the nodes, and we need to get access to those curves. So I'll hit the convert to curves, and once I hit the node tool, you can see we have these points right here, and I'll make this into a smooth point. Now I can drag this curve here, and I can kind of like twist this, and now what I'm going to do is to hold Alt while I drag the second Bezier handle. So what that is going to do is going to make sure that I have this point right here, right? So this is the point I'm going to be changing, and I want to convert that to a smooth point. So I'll just hold Alt and drag this point, and while holding Alt, I can drag this point down here. So let's click away and see how that looks. So you can actually see that right here. So I'll go over here, click this point, I'll just drag this up like that, and I'll just try to drag this to make sure it aligns and matches. So, and you can actually see we have that nice little bean shape for our character's head. I might adjust this section like that so we have something that's well rounded, and I'll just push this section back in there, and just like that, you can see we're done with our character's face shape, which is awesome. I'll just call this curve the face, and I'm going to be naming most of these curves. So next, let's create the mouth, because it's a very simple and basic curve for the mouth. To do that, I'll just use the pen tool. I'll click this first point, and I want it to end here, so I'll just click the last point and just drag that. You can see how nice that is to create that mouth. Now the mouth might actually have a slight little tapering, so what I'll do is to go over here, and right here in the pressure, I'll select this point, and I'll just drag this down, and you can see it's actually selecting both points. I just want 1 point, not 2 points. So to fix that, I'll add another one at the center and select this one, and I'll just drag that edge down, and this point, I'll just push this up like that. So let's just drag this one, this point, and let's just see what we're doing because we can't really see it here. And I'll just increase the size a little bit, and let's just get back to that curve. So here, so you can either select 1 point and play around with it. I'll just move our artwork. So I'm holding space bar. I'll just go out a bit, and let's use the navigator to drag our artwork to the right a bit so we can really see what we're doing with our curve. So I'll go back to the curve now, So now you can see what we have there. So if I select this point, I'm only going to be tapering that edge. And if I select this point and drag it, I'm only going to be tapering that edge like that. And we're actually done. I can push this back here so we have a nice little parabolic looking nice curve like that. So yeah, that's it. So we're actually done with the mouth. I'll undo that and I'll just click anywhere else just to get rid of that. So we're done with our character's mouth. So what we can do is to create our brows. So I'll quickly go over here on this curve and I'll just say mouth, and let's quickly create the brows. So I'll hold Control, click away, click this point, click and drag. You actually see that's super straightforward. And I'll do the same here. Click this point, click the end point and just drag away. Now what we can do is to increase the size a little bit because the brows are slightly thick, and that's it. So it's on 3.5. So I'll select the other brow and I'll click that. I'll set that to 3.5 and hit enter. So you can see we have slightly thicker brows. I'll undo that, hold Control and just click away. So you can see we have some slight looking brows right there. So what I'd like to do is to add this shape for the eyes, and let's quickly do that. Let's create the eyeball shape and then create these sections inside the eyes in the next lesson, because I don't want this to be too overwhelming. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson, but before we do that, let's quickly rename our brows. So I'm just going to call this brow underscore L for left brow, and I'll call this brow underscore R for the right brow, and I'll select both brows. So I'll just hold Shift, select this, hit Control G, and I'll just call that the brows. And again, an advantage is I can just click that and you can see we've actually gotten rid of the brows, and once we group things together, that work. So we've created our face shape, we created our mouth, and we created our brows. In the next lesson, let's see how we can create both eyes and then move on to creating more of the facial features.